Love, regret, strive. These are some of the most dwelling words that always warmed my heart. When a show is able to really bring forth the truth behind these words with depth and sincerity, to me, it feels as if that's all that I could ask for. What I'm talking about are just some of the most important stages of life that we all may or may not go through. In fact, some of us may never know. However, I'm here today to really talk about a show that really captivated my attention when I never expected it. Tada Never Falls in Love is a spring anime that aired in 2018. It's a rom-com series that really touches upon the topic of loving, regretting, and striving. Before any further explanations, let me share a quick synopsis of the story. Mitsuyoshi Tada is a high school student who loves photography. He works at a local family coffee shop that his grandfather owns whilst pursuing photography on the side. One day, he comes across a girl named Teresa Wagner, who is a foreigner studying abroad in Japan. Or at least that's all that we were given in the beginning. She is acquainted with her friend guardian named Alexandra, who's best known as Alec. Whether it be by coincidence or fate, the two foreigners attend the same high school as Tada, where they choose to become members of the photography club. From there, the photography club friendship journey and story begins. Mitsuyoshi Tada, at first glance, seems like a normal high schooler that lives with his grandfather. But in reality, there was a lot more to it than that. At a very young age, Tada lost his parents to an unfortunate car accident. The most depressing part about the story was that Tada was never able to fully send them off due to an attitude he had towards his father on the day of for not keeping a long-awaited promise. However, as time went on, Tada started regretting his decisions. He began to wonder how things may have been different if he hadn't acted with all that attitude on the day. That's when Teresa comes to play. She tells him that there's nothing we can do about the past and that the most important thing we can do is to avoid making that same mistake again. I think for me, that was the most touching quote that I was able to tie back to our lives in our society today. We all make mistakes and we often realize things a lot later than we presume to. These mistakes cause us to regret things in the future, and there's absolutely nothing we can do to change our past but to think about it. I think that's why it's so important for us to be able to move on from our past. When someone important in your life passes away, the world might feel like it's going to crumble. It often feels like time would stop, but in reality, it doesn't. Life goes on. When you're having a difficult time in your life where everything just feels like a pain, the sad reality is that the world doesn't adjust for you. The world continues like every other day. As unfortunate as it may sound, this should not discourage you. If anything, I think it's really essential to understand and note that difficulties and obstacles in your life should serve as a point of strive rather than allow it to pull you down. You just have to know not to give up. Teresa Wagner is a lot more than your normal person in society. She is an upcoming queen to her hometown in Luxembourg. However, she was given the opportunity to live in Japan for her mandatory study abroad session that is offered to every potential royal family member. Teresa has lived a very different life from everyone. As much as she wanted to live life in ways that she thought would be the best, her life was already decided upon the moment she was born. Because of this, she often felt very trapped and felt as if she was suffocating more than she was actually enjoying life. That's why when she got the opportunity to study in Japan, she wanted to make the most of it, living every day like there won't be tomorrow. From this, we can again learn an important fact about life. We're all given one moment to live, and what we make of it is really what we choose to make of it. So this should serve as a reminder for you to live your everyday to the best of your ability. These are days that you will literally never get back. So be it, learn to enjoy yourself and learn to appreciate everything around you. Even when you feel like life isn't going the way you expect it to, think about it like Teresa. Being appreciative of the moment rather than being envious and jealous of others. Teresa was really a shining gem when it was about positivity and joy. That was the most beautiful thing about the character development of Teresa for me. Teresa and Mitsuyoshi have one thing in common. They are both people who feel trapped under conditions out of their control. Teresa has no choice but to become queen of her hometown, and Mitsuyoshi has no choice but to regret and live on without the presence of his parents. These two conditions are both out of their control when speaking in terms of reality. Because these two have such an important part of their life be a common factor between them, sympathy becomes an immediate friend of theirs. Through this, love sparks, and the two later realize how much they really care and love for each other. Throughout this series, the idea of love is really emphasized to be a thing that moves in mysterious ways. Obviously, love speaks in different ways and there's no set answer to it. But through the show, we can learn that love isn't a set algorithm. Rather, it's a feeling that develops and applies to people in the most unimaginable ways possible. Maybe that's the glory of being in love. This concept is very obviously debatable and, like mentioned, there's no straightforward answer. But throughout this series, we can definitely get a grasp of an idea that we can later apply in our lives when we might experience the spark of love, speaking in its own unique way. To me, Tada Never Falls in Love felt like the anime that I needed right now in my life. As a college student pursuing a fairly difficult yet competitive degree, there's a lot that's been on my mind. And most recently, life hasn't been treating me in ways that I had hoped it would, which caused me to really think more seriously about what it means to live. Through this show, I was glad to have learned about the importance of regrets. As a human, I have made tons of mistakes in my life, and there are so many regrets that it feels impossible to count the amount that I feel. However, this show really felt like it provided me with words of affirmation that really applied to my personal conflicts to this day. Not only that, but to be able to live my days like there is no tomorrow. Life is definitely out of our control, but if we can learn to adapt and make it work, I think that would be taking a step forward to understanding the beauty of life. If you watched this video all the way up to this point, I'd like to thank you for taking your time watching this. If you haven't given Tada Never Falls in Love a try, I would highly recommend you do so now. If not, check out my other videos where I talk about the beauty of anime films and shows.